In our final wellness initiative, we looked at the skill of mindfulness. And just to briefly recap, the 4 skills that we covered. We had breathing in week 1, we had our stretching exercises in week 2, we had the skill of cognitive reframing in week 3, and in a way we're bringing it all together in week 4, focusing on a brief meditation exercise. When we think of mindfulness, it's really about this idea of just being more present in our day-to-day. In today's society, we are filled with what we call weapons of mass distraction. And unfortunately, as we spend our days like this, moving from one task to the next, it can become quite draining on us physically, mentally, and emotionally. So this is where meditation becomes an extremely beneficial tool to help us re-energize, or what we might call oscillate between periods of high intense focus to then recovery, where we're maximizing our physical, mental, and emotional energy. So what I'd like to do now, I want to use this meditation to focus on, let's say, a specific challenge that you might be facing. So I want you to think of something, and it could be in terms of your career, or it could be something maybe from your personal life or with your health. And we're going to use this time just to create space for you to maybe see that problem a little bit differently, to see maybe the opportunity in the challenge. So what I'd like to encourage you to do right now, if you're comfortable, is to just close your eyes. I would recommend that you do this meditation seated, so you can rest your hands down on your thighs, sit with your back nice and tall, rest your shoulders down, feel the soles of your feet planted on the floor. And what I'd like you to do now is just to start to pay attention to your breathing. So notice that breath coming in through the nose, and then leaving through the nose and the mouth. I just want you to take a few more deep breaths. If your mind wanders, just bring it back for a moment to the breath. Now I want you to move your attention to the body. So starting down at the feet, I want you to scan through the body, trying to identify any areas of tension for you. So as you scan through that body, if you find, for example, that your lower back has got some tension, I want you to focus on that area. I want you to continue to breathe deeply and notice any changes that you experience. Continuing to scan that body and continuing just to breathe nice and deeply. What I'd like you to do now is to bring your attention to your mind. So just notice what thoughts are running through your mind. Notice how they come and they go, very much like the clouds in the sky. You might notice if one or two are coming back, or if one is a constant. And what I'd like you to do now is to focus in on that challenge that we mentioned at the start. So bring that to the forefront of your mind's eye for a moment. Notice how that makes you feel. So for example, even by just thinking about that, do you notice a level of anxiety or overwhelm? Again, not trying to change anything, just noticing that. And now what I'd like you to do is to think about the statements around that challenge. I want you to investigate, to explore the type of statements you might be saying to yourself in regard to that challenge. I want you to notice if there are any in particular that you have to catch, because as we spoke about in our previous session, is that towards the side of that spectrum that is going to sabotage and not necessarily support you. So I want you to catch those statements. And if you have one in particular, I want you to spend a moment just exploring that statement. Notice if you might need to challenge that statement. Asking yourself questions like, is this statement supporting me to achieve or pursue this goal? Am I supporting myself in general, in terms of my well-being, my health, by saying this thing to myself? And I want you to try to, if you were to change that statement to something which is more supportive and is going to help you move towards that goal and support your health and well-being, what might that look like? And try and bring that to the forefront of your mind. And finally, I want you to bring your focus back into your body, back into your breath. And I want you to take 2 final deep breaths. And on that second breath, I want you to open your eyes. So just very quickly to run us through what we did there, we essentially created space for ourselves to overcome or to see, let's say, a challenge in a different way. You'll notice we started that by focusing on the breath to calm the nervous system. We then scanned the body to put our focus on a specific area before we brought it to that challenge that we mentioned. So essentially what we were doing there was creating the right type of environment to be able to see that challenge clearly, and most importantly, maybe gain a different perspective on that. This can be a great exercise to do before maybe you go into a client meeting or into a team meeting or even into a one-to-one with a colleague. I hope this skill will help you continue to improve your well-being and performance. Thank you.